Welcome to Soul Stories, where every tale touches the heart, inspires the mind, and stays with the soul. Asterisk, there's a camera in your office. The little girl whispered to Mr. Hale as she clutched her mother's hand, her voice so soft it barely floated through the air. Asterisk, the words hit him like a sudden chill. Asterisk, Mr. Hale glanced down at her big brown eyes. Innocent face, no sign of mischief or fear. She looked too young to understand the meaning of what she had just said, yet her tone carried an unsettling certainty. Her mother stood beside her, unaware of the bomb her daughter had just dropped, busy signing visitor paperwork at the front desk. Asterisk, how do you know that? Mr. Hale asked quietly, forcing a smile to hide the shock trembling inside him. Asterisk, the girl didn't answer. She simply stared at him, tilting her head slightly, as if listening to something only she could hear. Then she tugged her mother's hand and whispered, "Let's go." Asterisk, before he could say another word, they walked away. Her mother thanked the receptionist and guided her daughter toward the elevator. The girl looked back one last time, her eyes meeting Mr. Hale's with a strange, almost knowing expression. Mr. Hale stood frozen in the middle of the lobby. No one knew about the camera. Asterisk, he had installed it secretly late at night, after everyone had left, screwed it into the wall, behind the tall wooden bookshelf in his office. Only he had the key to access the footage. He hadn't even told his assistant, let alone any of the staff. It was his last attempt to catch whoever was leaking confidential company data to a rival firm. Asterisk. For weeks he suspected someone close, someone trusted, but there had been no proof. So he hid the camera, disguised as part of an old smoke detector casing. Unnoticeable, or so he thought. He replayed the girl's words. "There's a camera in your office." Asterisk, it wasn't possible. She couldn't have seen it. She had never been inside his office. No one had. Visitors weren't even allowed on that floor. Asterisk, was she guessing? Was it a child's imagination? Asterisk, or had someone told her? A cold wave crept up his spine. He stepped back, adjusting his tie more out of nervous habit than necessity, and forced himself to breathe, but his heart was racing. Whoever leaked the secret must have known about his hidden surveillance. Had the saboteur sent the girl as a warning, a threat? Or was this something else entirely? Nothing made sense. One thing was certain. Asterisk, if a child could whisper the truth he had worked so hard to hide, then someone inside his company was far more dangerous than he had ever imagined.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. They're making the exchange.
Asterisk, that night, long after the building had emptied and the city lights flickered outside his window, Mr. Hale sat alone in his office. The only sound was the soft hum of his computer and the steady ticking of the wall clock. Midnight approached, yet he couldn't stop replaying the little girl's whisper in his mind. Her voice had become a haunting echo. "There's a camera in your office." The unease gnawed at him until he finally opened the hidden surveillance folder, something he had been avoiding for days. His throat tightened as he clicked through the footage. He watched familiar scenes. Employees working, leaving, cleaners moving through the hallways. Hours of nothing. But he kept scrolling. Then, at 2:17 a.m., the screen flickered with motion. His heartbeat quickened. There they were, 3 figures slipping inside his office, their badges granting them unauthorized after-hours access. The grainy night vision footage sharpened just enough for him to recognize them, his most trusted employees. Rachel, the head of data management. Cole, his senior analyst, and Mark, his longest-serving team leader. Asterisk, people he'd known for years. People he had promoted, defended, and believed in. Asterisk, they moved with certainty, not fear like they had done this before. Asterisk, Rachel headed straight toward his desk, pulling out a USB drive. Cole stepped toward the filing cabinet, snapping photos of sensitive documents with a small digital camera. Mark stood near the window, acting as lookout, checking his watch repeatedly. Mr. Hale leaned closer to the screen, stomach twisting. They were calm, too calm. This wasn't opportunistic theft, this was planned. He watched Rachel connect the USB to his computer. Lines of code scrolled rapidly across the monitor as she copied entire project archives. Cole photographed restricted files, contracts, financial statements, internal reports, data that could destroy the company if leaked. Then something worse happened. Rachel walked toward the bookshelf. His breath hitched. She didn't look surprised. She didn't search or hesitate. Asterisk. Instead, she reached behind the books directly toward the camera's hiding place and wiped her fingers across the surface, as if she knew it was there, as if she wanted him to know. Asterisk, the little girl's whisper, returned sharply in his mind, but now it carried meaning. Someone had told her, and whoever told her wanted him to panic, or maybe they wanted him to act. Mr. Hale sank back into his chair, shaken. The betrayal was deeper than he imagined. His hidden camera hadn't discovered them. They had discovered him, and they were leaving him a message. Asterisk, we know what you're doing. We're not afraid. Mr. Hale didn't sleep. He lay awake in the darkness, staring at the ceiling while the city murmured faintly outside his apartment window. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the footage again. Rockel plugging in the USB, Cole photographing documents, Mark standing guard like a soldier awaiting orders. Asterisk, but what cut the deepest was not the act itself. It was the confidence with which they betrayed him. Asterisk, as if his trust meant nothing. Asterisk, as if loyalty was a currency they had already spent somewhere else. Asterisk, betrayal, he realized, is not loud. Asterisk, it's quiet, practiced and patient, until the moment. It wants to be seen, and now he had been chosen to see it. The little girl's whisper drifted through his mind again, as though carried on a cold wind. There's a camera in your office. Why had she said that? Asterisk, why to him? Asterisk, and how had she known precisely the one truth he had buried deeper than any file? Asterisk, he replayed her expression, the calmness, the strange focus in her eyes, as if she knew something was coming, something he didn't yet understand. Asterisk, by dawn, exhaustion pulled at his mind, but clarity had finally settled in. Asterisk, he couldn't confront Rachel, Cole, or Mark. Asterisk, they were too prepared, too coordinated. If he questioned them directly, they would lie, manipulate, destroy evidence, maybe even twist the situation against him. They knew he was watching. They wanted him off balance. Confrontation would only make him vulnerable. No, he needed to act swiftly, silently. Without warning, he needed to remove them before they destroyed everything he had built. As the sun rose, casting pale light across his office walls, Mr. Hawley sat at his desk and opened a blank folder labeled Termination. Protocol. It wasn't dramatic. There were no emotional paragraphs or explanations, just cold, procedural motions, quiet decisions with irreversible consequences. Asterisk, he drafted individual termination letters, citing severe breach of company trust and unauthorized access of classified materials. He called the legal department privately and arranged immediate removal of system access for all 3 employees. Their ID badges would deactivate by noon. Security escorts were scheduled. Personal belongings would be retrieved under supervision. Every step was calculated and precise. His hands trembled slightly with each signature. Asterisks, not because he doubted the decision, but because he understood its weight. Firing them would change the company forever. It would also send a message to whoever stood behind them, whoever had whispered to the little girl. Asterisk, by the time the building began to fill with employees. Mr. Hawley sat perfectly still, staring at the closed office door. His mind was calm now. The decision had been made. Not out of anger, not out of fear, but out of necessity. Today, he would remove them, all of them, and whatever came next, he would face it alone. Asterisk, the next day arrived with a heavy, electric tension hanging over the office. No one knew what was coming, no whispers, no warnings, just the sudden arrival of security personnel and the cold, formal announcements delivered one by one. Asterisk, Mr. Hawley fired everyone involved, swift, silent, and absolute. Asterisk, Rachel was called in first. She walked out stunned, escorted by 2 guards, her face pale but unreadable. Asterisk, Cole followed, anger burning in his eyes as he tried to argue, but his badge had already been deactivated. Asterisk, Mark said nothing at all. He simply nodded once, as if he had expected this outcome, and left without a word. Asterisk, the rest of the employees watched from behind their screens, pretending to work while their hearts hammered with panic. Shock spread like wildfire. Conversations went quiet as soon as someone walked by. The office buzzed with fear, confusion, and the unspoken question. Asterisk, what did they do? Only Mr. Hawley knew the truth. Only he had seen the betrayal, the stolen documents, the confidence of their crime. Asterisk, and only he knew that they had been aware of the camera long before he realized it. But he told no one. By noon, the building felt different, lighter, safer, yet unsettlingly quiet. The absence of the 3 traitors left a strange vacuum, as though the walls themselves were still recovering from the weight of what had happened. Asterisk, Mr. Hawley tried to focus on paperwork, but the whisper from the little girl kept circling his mind. There's a camera in your office. Where had she learned that? Asterisk, who told her? Asterisk, and why warn him? Asterisk, later that afternoon, needing a moment away from the tension, he stepped out of his office and walked toward the lobby. The receptionist lifted her head, about to speak, but he barely noticed because just beyond her desk, sitting on one of the waiting chairs, was the little girl. Asterisk, she looked the same as before, calm, quiet, and strangely observant for someone her age. Her mother was beside her again, flipping through a magazine. The girl's eyes lifted toward him as if she had been waiting. This time, she smiled. Asterisk, a small, knowing smile, the kind that didn't belong on a child's face. Asterisk, now you're safe, she said softly. Asterisk, her voice wasn't playful or curious. It carried certainty, absolute, final, unsettling. Mr. Hawley froze. Before he could ask how she knew anything, before he could even form a sentence, her mother stood, taking the girl's hand. They walked toward the door, leaving him rooted in place. Asterisk, he watched them disappear into the bright afternoon light. Asterisk, he never understood how she knew about the camera, or how she knew what he would do, or what she meant by safe. Asterisk, but the truth lingered like a shadow. She knew something, something bigger, deeper, hidden, asterisk and whatever it was. Asterisk it wasn't over.